And I've seen the names of the accusers and the accused. Give you an example. There's a woman named Sarah Ransom who accused Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, Richard Branson, said she had videotapes of them all having sex with young boys and girls. All right, that's the accusation that's out there. But the files prove that she made up the whole story, and she ultimately admitted that she made it all up in order to have something over Donald Trump.
Hello, it's Matt here from One Brit's Point of View. It's been a while since I've done a video about anything US sort of politics or US ICE or immigration, demonstrations or riots, anything like that. Epstein, been a while. But it's all over the place. And I'm on X, formerly known as Twitter. And you can't move through, Epstein, this, Epstein, that. So I just thought, you know what, I'll look at a video, because it's been a while, and I might as well just record it. So this is me looking at a video about Epstein. Trump's name's apparently all over the place in relation to the Epstein files. Let's take a look.
I know exactly what's going on with hemp. I got no clue what's going on with the release of the Epstein files when it comes to the president and this administration. I don't get the resistance. I really don't. And you can say, what do you mean? He's got something to hide. No one has ever told me that, who has any access to any of these things.
But then why didn't Biden release everything? I mean, let's face it. If, Harris was up for presidency and Trump was all over the files, they'd be out like a shot. Why weren't they?
No matter who they represent. Okay? Now, the response from the president today, instead of release the files, which is all he should say, release the Epstein files, is I've directed the attorney general to go after Democrats who he believes are tied to the Epstein scandal. First of all, just before the show, he made his first comments about this. Listen.
I know nothing about that. They would have announced that a long time ago. It's really, what did he mean when he spent all the time with Bill Clinton, with the president of Harvard, who that is, Summers, Larry Summers, whatever his name is, and all of the other people that he spent time with. Jeffrey Epstein and I had a very bad relationship for many years, but he also saw strength because I was president. So he dictated a couple of memos to himself. Give me a break. You're going to find out what did he know with respect to Bill Clinton, with respect to the head of Harvard, with respect to all of those people that he knew, including J.P. Morgan Chase.
I mean, Trump's dropping some bombs here. But between you and me, I'm a little bit distracted. And I think this is where the desensitization or desensitivity comes from, having access to the internet over the years. That just above his tie, his neck, what does that look like to you?
Look, if the president has these suspicions, you know what he should do? Release the files. Okay? That's the only answer here. What is going on? I don't get it. Now, that's why
I can understand it. Sometimes as a government, you've got to make a decision, right? And I'm not defending anything. I'm just saying I can think of two scenarios here. Release the files, let chips fall where they may. If heads have got to roll, heads have got to roll. Okay, let's do it. The other part of that, because that's the general public. The general public saying release them. Balls to it, release them. People are guilty. Let's put their heads on pikes, right? That's general public. As a government, you're going, right, okay, this person's name, this person's name, this person's name, and this person's name. That person could be somebody of position or power, or it could be somebody who's embroiled in the administration, and we could undermine the administration, we could weaken the government, and that means weakening the country. Or it could be that someone who's named in the files is part of an operation that's secret and they've got intelligence on some other nation and blah, 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 and they've embroiled in it. So you've got to weigh up the greater public good, like sometimes you've got to do the wrong thing for the right reasons, rather than doing the right thing, the right reasons, but impacting the greater good. And I'm not defending it. I just think, me personally, I just think just release it all. You know, the truth's the truth. The truth should always come out. Let the chips lay where they lie, and deal with the fallout.
I have better minds. And I don't know anyone to talk to who is better than my guest, Epstein's former attorney, Alan Dershowitz. He has been caught up in this scandal as counsel and as an accused for years. And he had the rare ability to disprove an allegation. You know how hard that is? To prove that you didn't do something? That's why the burden of proof works the other way, right? And he has also seen what so many are dying to see.
I mean, it was Epstein's attorney. Okay. Was he Epstein's attorney well before the trial, or was he his attorney appointed after he was convicted or charged? I don't know.
He joins us now. Professor, I said to somebody today, and I don't know if this will make you punch me the next time you see me. I said, you know, if there were one guy who would love to give people on the left what they're looking for in this situation, it's Dershowitz, because he's been completely blackballed by them. He would love to get them back, inviting him to things on Martha's Vineyard. But Professor, look, I gave you a chance when the allegations come out because of my trust in you, and you had the documents that made not only the lawsuit against you go away, but the accusations as well from anybody who wants to pay attention to the facts. But you've been telling me from the beginning, Chris.
I mean, he's been stood there for 10 minutes and this guy just won't ask him a question. Get on with it.
Don't get caught up in the hoopla about this stuff. It's not what people think. Why?
Well, let me give you an example. 10 minutes before you went on, the predecessor on your show described Jeffrey Epstein as a convicted pedophile. He pleaded guilty to one count of having sex for money with a 17-year and 10-month-old person. That's not pedophile. But because the media says so many things about people.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, if you traffic minors, whether you have sex with them or not, you're a paedophile. Because you're complicit. If you own photographs of kids being molested, you might not have molested those kids, but you've enjoyed it and you've had evidence. You're a paedophile. Let's not try talking semantics here.
Another example. Epstein says in his email that Trump spent hours with Virginia Giuffre. The media doesn't report that Virginia Giuffre herself, when she was alive, said she never met Trump. She never spent any time with him.
Two conflicting reports there. I think it does say that she'd spent time with Trump, and from what I've read, and again, the internet, fucking magic in it for having loads of misinformation. But from what I heard is that she had met Trump, and she said she never had any sexual activity with Trump. He was always nice to her, and he didn't flirt with her. That was previously reported. That apparently he flirted with her, and she came out and said, no, he never flirted with me. He was always nice, but I met him a handful of times. That was it.
So I understand. I don't agree, but I understand the Trump administration's concern, because anything in these files is deliberately misinterpreted by the media. On CNN just before, about an hour ago, some congresswoman was finding everybody guilty. Anybody who had any connection with Trump must be guilty. Look, I'm here standing up. Look, I certainly support real victims, but I'm standing up because I was one of them, for falsely accused people. They have due process too. They have to have the right to answer. One of the problems is when they release these files, and I hope they release them all, they generally release the names of the people accused, but they don't release the name of the accusers, because they say they're victims and they're survivors. Some of them are, some of them aren't.
I agree with that. I absolutely agree. I think you should not release the name of the people who are accused until they're proven to have been guilty. And I don't think you should release the names of the victims because that could hinder justice being served also. So I just think it's like guilt by association, isn't it, really? It's like not everybody who had any sort of interaction with Epstein was a weird sexual predator.
But them are mixed. I know of cases where people were victims and then they victimized other people. They falsely accused them or they arranged for them to meet with Jeffrey Epstein. This is a gray area that the media presents as a black and white area with a devil and anybody who
I've just realised I couldn't have planned this any better. This actually looks like I'm on the panel talking to these two guys about. Is he going to come to me with a question?
anything to do with him as devilish as the person himself. We have given up the presumption of innocence. You know, I wrote a book called Guilt by Accusation. That's what we're going through. And I understand why people don't want.
The guy at the top's like, I've not spoken in about 5 minutes here. I'm chomping at the bit. You know, I think it needs to be a bit more controlled format. Like, he was prattling on for 10 minutes before you give him an opportunity and a question, and now he's given him an opportunity and a question. He's prattling on for 10 minutes. It's like, just get to your point.
I want to see things released which will mention their names, and then the media will immediately say, guilty, guilty, guilty.
Yes, we all know the media's a bunch of twats. They are. I'm in the UK, right? And I don't mind saying this. The BBC have been reprehensible in the way that they've operated for the last few years. It's well known that they doctored the speech of Trump to make it look like he was inciting the riots, you know, in Washington. And that's obviously part of this big, massive case now. That's Trump about suing the BBC. And then you see on X where, he's taking money off the taxpayer. As a British taxpayer, couldn't give two shiny shits.
Guilty without even giving them an opportunity to fight back. I fought back because
I've just done the same as these two now. Just gone a 10-minute rant.
I had nothing to hide. Many people do have things to hide and they can't fight back. And that's why it's easy to make false accusations.
What's with these pictures of Epstein and Maxwell? It's like massaging his feet. Like, look at these two. It's like Love's Young Dream.
Accusations against people, I don't know whether it's false or true, against Prince Andrew, but he couldn't fight back because he was Randy Andy. He couldn't sit for a deposition and answer questions about his sex life. I could.
Yeah, but Andrew basically did an interview and ballsed it up massively. Mentioning things like Pizza Hut and Christ, I don't know. And then the royal family ended up paying the victim, who is no longer with us, rest in peace, 13 million quid. Just so it didn't have to go to court.
It was easy for me because I had no sex life other than with my wife from the relevant period of time. So I can answer all my questions.
You have to put in here, this guy's going on about having sex with his wife.
But put yourself in the position of falsely accused people and understand why.
He's been talking for about 20 minutes. Get in there.
There's some hesitation in releasing the files. When I was accused, the first thing I said is release everything. I waive all my rights. I urge the FBI to criminally investigate me and prosecute me if they found anything. Of course, they didn't. But not everybody can say that. And so we have to go back to the presumption of innocence and reject this notion of guilt by accusation. That helps to explain why innocent people don't want the files released.
I understand, but it doesn't explain three things.
If I was on the show now,
It doesn't explain why Trump.
if I was on the show and he was like, wait for my question, and I was like, you know, waiting, and I was like, fucking hell, you know, I've got about 2 minutes left of this show, and they're not even getting to my question. I'd be like, I need to write that the other way around. I'd be like, tell him to get on with it.
Doesn't want to release things. I'm not saying he's not innocent. I'm saying if he is innocent, which he keeps saying, if he thinks it's about Clinton or Larry Summers or anybody else, he should be saying the same thing. Release the files. And he isn't. And the only excuse I'm offered is, well, he's worried about people getting smeared. I find that hard to believe, Alan. I don't think he's Alan Dershowitz.
Yeah, but Trump's getting smeared left, right, and centre. It was in the emails that recently come out, right? And people are saying he's in the file, he's in the emails, he's mentioned in the emails. And then they're all protesting outside the White House saying, get him out. But nobody can... I've not seen one bit where it says, in the email, it says, Donald, we've got like this young 16-year-old here. Do you want to have a bit? And he's like, yes. You know, Jeff, my old mucky old pal. Listen, you got one of the worst sexual predators out there in terms of Epstein saying that Donald Trump's the worst person he's ever met. So you got one of the worst people I ever met saying Trump's the worst person you ever met. That's a good thing for Trump.
I don't understand why he won't release the files. Do you?
No, I don't accept
But then why did the previous administration not release the files?
that he's concerned, maybe, that although he didn't do anything wrong, and by the way, Brad Edwards, the very aggressive lawyer for the victims, said, I've investigated everything, and Trump did nothing wrong. And in fact, nobody prominent is accused. Only people you already know about. So there's really nothing in the files. Now, I've read many of the files. I've read the files in my case. We had days and days of depositions. They're all sealed, not by the Justice Department, but by judges who want to protect the alleged accusers, and I've seen the names of the accusers and the accused. Give you an example. There's a woman named Sarah Ransom who accused Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, Richard Branson, said she had videotapes of them all having sex with young boys and girls. All right, that's the accusation that's out there. But the files prove that she made up the whole story, and she ultimately admitted that she made it all up in order to have something over Donald Trump. So what you can't do is release the accusations without releasing material that also may challenge the
To
credibility.
release all of it.
Yeah. Well, no, don't release all of it. No. I get what you're saying there, right? You got accusations, and they got the files that said it was ultimately proved. But then what if you've got accusation after accusation, but then you've not done your due diligences of investigation to say, did that accusation have any evidence-based in fact? If there isn't, and in this case he said there is it fair on the victims or the people who are accused? No. So I understand that you can't just blanketly release their files without having proper investigations. Now, whether there's an investigation happening in the background, I don't know. There should be. But you've got to make sure that that's independent and impartial. It's like the FBI investigating the FBI. Not impartial.
So release all of it. Let the media do its job. Look, my problem.
No, don't let the media do its job. You've not been listening, have you? The media doesn't do its job, unfortunately. The media is absolutely not doing its job. The media will do whatever the media wants to do as long as it fits in the narrative of that particular media outlet, like the BBC.
Here, there's nothing to do with the law, is this has been such a hype vehicle. First for the right. Let's not forget. Democrats didn't start.
You need an independent panel made up of qualified investigators with no ties to any political organisations to be able to go and do their jobs. Don't leave it to the media. For Christ's sake, do not leave it to the media.
This fire. They've just been
Not the mainstream media, at least.
blowing on it and turbocharging it and adding more wood. The right started this, especially on the podcast. J.D. Vance, Kash Patel, Bongino, it's Clinton, it's this, it's that. That's why MAGA wanted this. This is why Trump allowed it. Hoisted on his own petard? Maybe, but I don't get why.
Got a point. Yes, it was J.D. Vance, Trump saying, Bill Clinton, that guy is going to be really busy because of all the Epstein stuff. You know? So he's made a run off his own back if he doesn't want to release the files.
Why is that saying release it?
Yeah, so release the files. Just release them. I completely agree. Just release the files. I think everyone's going to be fed up of it by now. The longer it goes on, the more conspiracy theories, the more people are not going to believe when some truth does come out. It's just going to be, oh, what we're distracting from, you know. is it Three Eye Atlas with the alien sort of connection? It's just release the files. Just release the files and let the chips lay where they lay, and history will look after itself. Anyway, that's it for this one. Let me know how you stand on this side. Do you think release the files, or are you just don't give a shit one way or the other, basically? Do me a favour, subscribe, like, comment. It really helps me out. I'm new to YouTube in the last 5-6 months or so. So yeah. Anyway, take care. I will see you on the next one. Cheers.